Matt, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being a part of Creators Founders from the start, actually, because you were at our first dinner in September of 2025 last year, and a couple other events since then. So first of all, really appreciate you just showing up from day one and being a part of this community. Um, do you want to just quickly get into who you are, like introduce yourself? Like, I don't know if you have like an elevator pitch or like a one-liner about like what you do, because every time I think about your content, I'm like comedy, like parody, stereotype videos, but like, yeah, I'll toss the floor over to you.
Dude, well, thank you for having me. It's actually an honor, and I'm all in on the Creators Founders thing. I think it's pretty sweet what you guys are doing and bringing these pieces together to make like that complete puzzle, and really like helps everyone out on both sides. So it's been cool to meet people at the events. The first event too, right away I was like, this is gonna be pretty awesome. I'll get to actually be in the room with some of these people that I've only seen online or I've only heard of their startups, and so getting to like shake their hand and make that connection is huge. Um, yeah, Matt Lyons. I live in the Boston area. I create social media content, so I'm on the creator side of this whole thing you've got going on, and I make like comedy videos primarily tailored towards outdoor activities like hiking, climbing, skiing, running. We've got marathon season coming up, so I'm going to be doing a lot of running content, like the Strava nerds, which I've slowly gotten into myself. So a lot of the content I do make is targeted at those demographics, of which I fall into a lot of them. So I'm trying to get into running. I climb, I hike, I snowboard. So it's things that I've sort of picked up on over the years. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of a hilarious thing, and I'm going to poke fun at some of the activities that I'm actually doing.
Yep. No, that makes sense, and it's obviously picked up, and playing into that there are so many people in these tight-knit communities and really passionate communities. It's been a great fit for you to create content around that, because it's not only authentic and natural to your passions and your hobbies, but there's millions of people and out there that share the same interests. So
Yeah, it's funny. I was just up at Killington in Vermont a couple days ago, and I was trying out a split board for the first time. So if you don't know about it, it's like basically ski touring for snowboarders. So you like take your snowboard and you just chop it in half, and like it turns into two skis. You can go uphill and then it reconnects. You can do your preferred activity, snowboarding. And so I was trying that out, making videos, and people were coming up to me being like, what's the name of your character? Like, having seen the videos, they're like invested into what I'm going to do to kind of make a character around that activity.
yeah, I was gonna start this off saying, my name's Podcast. This is a dude. There was one that you did that was like a photographer,
Yeah.
and like the names that you came up with for like the equipment were just like insanity.
Yeah, that's been one of my favorite things to do, is just make up ridiculous terms for like technical pieces of equipment in certain activities. Like the photography one was one of the earlier ones I did. And I own a camera. I've maybe used it a couple times, and so I know nothing about photography, but I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go all in and just take some of these real terms and make them sound ridiculous. And it kind of popped
It's
off.
also so like relevant, because that like photographers, like when they see each other out in public, they're always like, oh, what kind of camera is
Yeah.
that? Like
Yeah.
they're like nerding over like the littlest like thing, and you like hit the nail on the head with that.
I think I walked into a camera store one time with my buddy who's actually into videography. And I walked around that place. I knew nothing. I was in there, and the guy working, I didn't even want to talk to him because I was just going to get exposed. And so I just kept my mouth shut. But
Yeah,
there's a
he's
lot
probably
of
like
stuff.
drooling, like he's probably, whoa, look at that camera. Like,
Yeah.
6K, 24 megapixel sensor.
Yeah.
Like,
Dude's name is Nikon.
yeah, exactly. Seriously. Let's take it back to the beginning. This is not our first rodeo sitting down together, kind of getting into your journey, but maybe for new listeners out there, talk about before content, what you're doing in the academic world, what your life looked like, and kind of how that transition and how like picking up the phone, picking up the camera happened and started for you.
Yeah. So my life looked completely different 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago now. I was a teacher teaching like 7th and 8th grade science. So I studied biology in college, then went to grad school for education. So nothing having to do with social media at the time. And I was working up in New Hampshire. COVID hit, so I was doing hybrid teaching. So I was going into the classroom like 2 days a week, teaching from my apartment the other 3 days a week, which if you've ever been on a Zoom call with 12-year-old kids, 20 of them to be exact, it's utter chaos, utter chaos. And so that year kind of like really wore me out because it was my first year in the field. Teaching to begin with is very underappreciated and in my mind underpaid. And so being there and seeing it firsthand how much these teachers go through to like have these students learn, and then on top of that making it digital and the kids aren't even there. I had 2 kids like asleep on their bed most of the time when I opened Zoom, and I'm like, all right guys, let's sit up or something here, let's look alert. And so that was one of the most challenging things. I went on to teach like a few more years, but slowly started making some videos about the outdoors because I had just gotten off a long distance backpacking trip on the Appalachian Trail before taking that teaching job. So all of these people that I met on the trail, I was talking to them about their hobbies. I had been snowboarding for about 8 years since middle school. So I had all these ideas in my head and ways I wanted to be creative outside of the classroom or the digital classroom. And so I slowly started posting on TikTok, and it started off with just backpacking content, like educational and talking about what pack I had, what gear I carried. And that transformed into creating characters.
And you're almost your first character, like, that's kinda
Yeah.
you're almost, like,
Yeah,
building around yourself, right?
exactly. Well, that's kind of the whole premise. And I've kind of tried to stick to those roots a little bit. And these are things for the most part that I do. Obviously, I've extended past that a little bit recently. But yeah, it all stemmed from what are some ridiculous things that I've done out in the woods to cut weight on a backpacking trip in my bag because I don't want to carry 50 pounds on my back. So like chopping your toothbrush in half and like carrying a tissue paper tent to save weight. So that was kind of the spark that started it. And a couple of my first videos just exploded because I think everyone was locked in their houses. People wanted to get out and do something adventurous, and they saw like this content of me on the trail the year prior, and they're like, wow, that looks cool, like living in the woods for 5 months and walking and meeting all these interesting people. So it made it very easy to kind of start to grow on the platform. And 2020 was like an explosion on TikTok. Like so many creators, if you ask them when they started, 2019, 2020, 2021. And so the growth potential was insane. So that kind of started going. I moved to Boston, got a job here, went on another long distance hike, the Pacific Crest Trail, and started posting on Instagram in probably 2023. And this is like Instagram Reels. I was primarily just on TikTok before that. And that immediately, I think in the first month, gained 100,000 followers, like crazy amount. And so that became my primary platform at that point. And we've just slowly been building from there. So
Were
it all
you
started from teaching.
teaching as well when you was in Boston?
Yes. So the first half of the school year, I was in a long-term sub position. They offered me the full-time role. And that summer I decided to go all in on content.
Where were you at content-wise, like, at that point? Were you, like, follower count, but also, like, were you getting brand deals? Like, was it, like, or was it kind of like, "All right, betting on myself, like, gotta see this through"?
I was getting a couple tiny brand deals. Again, I didn't really know how to navigate that at all, but it was a couple little cottage brands in the backpacking space. So like one of the first brands that actually like put confidence in me was Topo Designs. They reached out and I was chatting with their marketing guy, and he's like, oh, this could be an awesome relationship, and made a video for them. And that was the first official deal that I did. And I think it was for like a fraction of what brand deals are looking for me like right now. So that just allowed me to see the potential in it. And I think it gave me the confidence I need to like take that step into full-time content. So that was, in terms of Instagram following, it was probably around 100,000 followers on Instagram and like 150 to 170K on TikTok.
Mhm. How consistently were you posting, like, at that time? Maybe while you had your job, and then, like, once you were full like, all in on it, were you just like, "Alright, I gotta post every single day now," or, like, what did that look like?
It was actually kind of opposite, which is crazy. While I was teaching, I was posting every day, and my schedule was insane. Like the burnout would have been incredible if I didn't stop doing all that at once. I think my daily schedule was I would wake up, go do my prep work at school, like get the lesson and classroom planned. On like my personal break during the day, I would script a video. I would leave work, go to like the Fells, which is this patch of woods near Boston. I would film my videos there usually, go to the gym, come home, grade and lesson plan for the next day, and then repeat. And so I did that for like half a school year, and I'm like, this is not sustainable. Um, so I was posting every day at that point. And then after that, once I left the classroom, I kind of toned it back. I was starting every day, but then it went to like every other day or every 3 days. So right now I'm doing like every other day.
Yeah,
So,
no, that makes sense, and, like, there's a lot that goes into the videos, especially probably at this point, like, you wanna just walk us through, like, the process for maybe, like, your main video, like, your main video type of, like, I don't know what you call it, like, stereotype or, like,
yeah.
whatever the character videos, I guess.
Yeah, so I'll have I have a list of concepts in my phone
Yeah.
of videos that I want to make. So it'll be like an expert in photography, for example. And I'll usually take one of those and on one day focus on that specific content. And I'll do a deep dive into photography and all of the terminology that people use. And I'll build the character out. I'll script it in my phone. And then usually in the afternoon, I'll set up a tripod, or if someone's around to help film, I'll film that. So I try to just film one video a day. It usually averages to like every other day I'll film like 1 to 2 videos. And so I do have a backlog of stuff that I could post. But that's sort of the process. I focus on one video at a time. And if I have other ideas, I'll just type them in my phone. And my most creative time is right before bed, like right before I fall asleep.
Always. So do you use that time, though? That's, like, your in notes, like, coming up with ideas, or, like, an idea pops in your head, you write it down, and then next day or whenever it comes, like,
Yeah.
that's when you build out the video?
Yeah, so it's nice if I have like a concept in mind the night before. So I'll usually go to bed at like say 10:30. Won't fall asleep till like midnight because I'm just constantly rolling over and like typing ideas into my phone. Um, so that's kind of the process, and it's worked out so far.
Was there ever, like, a video that, I guess, like, came about in, like, a memorable way for you, whether it was, like, someone you saw somewhere, or an experience that you had, or an idea that, like, just came into your mind at head, and then, like, right before bed, and then you woke up the next day, filmed it, and it went, like, mega viral, or, like, anything, like, memorable with that like, that part of the process?
Yeah, there's some events that happen. So I try to create content that's timely. Like if there's an event going on and it's a last minute thing, like something's happening the next day, I'll try to maybe like get a video out. I want to make sure it's quality though. For example, like if there's a big concert coming up and there's like a ticket sale lot.
Yeah, the Noah Khan one
Noah
or
Khan, for
something.
example. Like I just made a video about people buying Noah Khan tickets. And I think the dude's name was like StubHub or something. And I think I scripted that in like an hour and then filmed it the same day. But I didn't even have that concept in mind when I woke up that morning. So it was kind of a last minute thing. And I like doing stuff like that because people are online looking at those trending things and that'll pop up and it tends to do pretty well. So
Yeah, no, and, like, I think, like, some of that you just have to, like, you can't plan that,
no,
right? Like,
yeah,
that just has to come about, and then you have the system in place, you know what you're doing
right.
when it comes to actually putting pen to paper and making that come to life. So,
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah, it just comes to, like, I mean, I think that's an interesting topic, actually, of, like, your general thoughts of, like, consuming versus creating online. And obviously for you, you have to do both, right?
Yeah,
Because you have to consume a certain amount to understand what you need to create
yeah,
and how to serve your audience. But maybe dive into that, just like from your experience, but also like, I think that's a pretty like loaded topic right now.
Hmm.
In terms of just like people that might be art creators that are only consuming.
Right. I've been going to bed a lot of nights with a headache, and I think it's due to looking at my phone for way
mm,
too much. Have you heard of that thing where it like locks your socials?
yeah,
It's like
brick,
the
I think.
brick.
Yeah, yeah.
I've been debating getting that because I've done like the screen time limits, but I just go
No,
right
no
through it.
chance.
I'll bypass that in a second. And so having like a device, I think it would drive me insane the first couple days.
Yeah,
But
and I think you need to like tap your phone on it to
yes,
unlock or
yeah.
something.
And that thing will be like super strict. Like it
Yeah.
won't let you in. Um, so I think there's definitely an importance to consuming content and seeing what's going well, what's doing well for other creators, um, in order to create successful content on your end. But I've been trying to find a balance in my life of like not consuming too much, and making sure I'm like still living my life and not just on my phone all the time, which I think is equally important. But
I mean, yeah, I think as like I think you're lucky enough to be in an industry and like also just like given what you like to do outside of content, naturally that falls in line with your content, but it is being outdoors and like
yeah, yeah,
touching grass and like
it's
doing like fun activities that you would want to do regardless of your career, but fortunately enough, it aligns with that.
yes,
So,
it's been very tough in the winter in Boston filming outdoor content. I like there are days where I literally have to put on all of my clothes and go out to I'll have like 6 jackets on and I'll go out to the fells and be in like a foot of snow, shivering, setting up my phone to film this video. So
is there like a specific tree out there that you like?
there's one spot and
Yeah.
I'll never disclose the
Wow.
location that I go to film this content.
Well, if you guys are around, go there. There's probably tripod marks in the snow.
You can probably find the one trail of footprints
That's funny.
that I use.
That's
But,
awesome.
yeah, it's tough in the winter. However, it is nice being a creator around outdoor content. A lot of the activities are seasonal. So right now I'm heavy focused on like skiing, snowboarding, like alpine sports. I was doing a lot of Winter Olympics content. And then as the springtime comes around, it'll transition to like golf. I'll be getting into more like hiking, backpacking. So it's nice. I have like seasons. So it's not just the same thing year round. So it keeps things fresh a little bit. And all in the off season for like the hiking off season right now, I'm constantly thinking of ideas for the warm weather and what I could do. So I have a running list of content that I can film once this snow melts.
Yeah. Speaking of hiking, speaking of warm weather, talk about the documentary. That seemed like a pretty awesome like accomplishment for you, putting
Yeah.
that out there. Obviously, there was a ton of work that and years that went into creating that. Um, I watched it. I watched it online. Like I rented it and I
Nice.
thought it was amazing. Like I thought it was really awesome. Like
Thank you.
genuinely was really impressed and it exceeding expectations in terms of just the storyline, storytelling, the way it was put together, like actually keeping me engaged. So yeah, dive into that, just like how that came about. Maybe talk about the story of that a little bit on here, and maybe like I don't know your overall thoughts after since
Sure.
launching that.
Yes, we made a documentary about my through hike of the Pacific Crest Trail. For those that are not familiar with it, it's a long distance trail on the West Coast, goes through Washington, Oregon, and California. So I hiked it in 2022. It took about 4.5 months, and this trip had been planned since 2020. I attempted it in 2021, got injured, hiked it successfully in
And the
2022.
documentary started with that
Yes.
injury.
Yeah, so it covers the whole 5-year process of this journey. And over the past couple of years, me, my brother, and my good friend, they're very talented in video editing. So I did the filming out on the trail, but then handed them hundreds of hours of footage, and they've been working through it and finally finished editing it. And we had a release tour this last fall in October, and it's going to be posted. It's online for rental right now, and it's going to be posted on YouTube and a couple other streaming platforms probably in the next month or so. So it's been a long time coming, but
The craziest, you want to know the craziest thing about that? That I was the most impressed by.
yeah.
setting up the camera,
Yeah.
walking, and then walking back to get
Yeah.
it.
No, I think I hiked the trail twice, is what I tell people, because I would it's crazy. You could watch people who are hiking the trail on YouTube, and they'll post, like, segment videos,
Yeah.
and they'll do even way more than I did. Like,
Yeah,
they'll
you see
set
them,
it
like,
up.
on a different mountain, like,
Yeah,
peak.
they're, like, across the valley, and they have to walk, like, a mile back to get their camera.
Well, the craziest thing too, you're like, "Yeah, my leg's not doing too well," or whatever, and then meanwhile, you're, like, walking, like, away from the camera. I'm like, "Geez, that's insane."
Yeah, I had that whole knee injury.
Yeah,
My philosophy was movement is healing.
yeah.
So I'm like, I'll just walk twice the amount of steps and it'll heal twice as fast. Did not happen, but
Anything throughout that journey, I mean, going into, like, what even made you wanna create a documentary around that? Because 2020, I mean, you're already posting content, but you weren't like a full-time creator. Like, did you just have that vision? Was it like, I want to just do this so that I have this documented for my life? Like, what was going through your head around just filming that and documenting that?
I think I got pushed by my brother in a good way, like pushed to do something a little different and create a film by my brother and good friend who are very inspired by like documentary style videos. And so I knew I wanted to hike the trail in 2020. I was gonna, after I left my job in New Hampshire, go do it. And so they just floated the idea. They're like, what if we film the thing and we create this film about it? And originally I was like, it's just gonna be kind of for personal use, something for me to have to watch in the future and like show my kids. And as we started planning it and getting the equipment and prepping all this stuff, we thought maybe we could make it a little something more and actually put some time into it. We got some sponsorships and went out and did this and edited it and planned on posting it for like the whole world to see. So it turned into a much bigger project, but they were kind of the catalyst in getting that ball rolling.
Hmm.
So
And then when you did release it, obviously, yeah, it took years to edit, and
yeah,
that is not a small undertaking whatsoever.
yeah.
But when you did release it, like, what was that like? Now, obviously, I'm sure the vision changed from just filming it to film it, maybe see what happens, to all of a sudden now you're a full-time content creator with millions of followers. Like, wow, I have an audience to put this in front of. Like, what
Yeah.
was that like?
That kind of changed all of it because when we started planning the documentary, I think I had 3,000 followers on Instagram and like 50,000 on TikTok. So it was a hobby at that point, social media. And so seeing the growth over that 5-year process of filming the doc, I'm like, wow, we now have a built-in audience. This is going to have way more reach. Like, I want as many people to see this as possible and inspire them to hike. And so that it kind of transformed into a much bigger thing than what we thought it was going to be at the start in all aspects. And so towards the end of it, when we're approaching the end of the editing process, we had the idea to do a screening tour. And we didn't want it to be like a traditional theater. We wanted it to be authentic to the people who are going to find interest in it. So we picked a bunch of craft breweries around New England, rented a bunch of equipment, went to the breweries. We were our own crew, like set up everything, and screened them at these breweries so people could have like a quadruple IPA while watching me out in the woods. And so that turned into a huge success. One of the best showings was up in Burlington, Vermont. We were at Foam Brewing Company, Foam Brewers, and we had like 180 people on a Sunday night come out. And it was like one of the best events I've ever been a part of. It was super cool. And it was like the last showing on our 4-spot tour. And so we got an Airbnb that night and just kind of celebrated. And that was kind of the pinnacle of the experience.
Yeah.
So
And you mentioned that that'll be out on YouTube sometime soon.
yep.
Do you have other plans in that space, like recapping on that overall experience that took years? Like, obviously, as you continue to, I don't know what other accomplishments like you personally have, with hiking or other activities like that, but are there other like documentary projects or similar like longer form projects that you're interested in pursuing?
The documentary itself, I don't know if I would have any role in editing another one. I don't know if my brother and friends want to undertake something like that again, but I would definitely love to go out and hike again. And if that turns into somebody else maybe filming it. I'd be
No
open
more
to
setting
that.
up the camera, walk like
I'm gonna hike the trail once, and that's it.
yeah.
So if we can get a drone involved, that'd be nice. Just follow me around.
Yeah, that'd be or just like a GoPro like with a 20-foot pole behind
Yes.
you.
Yeah. Yeah. Like we learned a lot in that process. It was 5 years of time, and we all looked at each other at the end, and we're like, we're never doing that again in that capacity.
Fair enough. Yeah. I think that also goes to show that like what used to work and the type of content or like the type of media that people used to think had to be created, like long form content, is just, it's so much more efficient to just pick up your phone, shoot a video, hit post,
Oh yeah.
and it doesn't get in the way of your life for 5 years and
Yeah.
become a burden or anything, and you get much more, actual tangible results from that as well. So
What I would absolutely do is go hike a trail, film daily vlogs on my phone, very light editing, and just make some more like realistic, in the moment content as I go. I think that would be pretty rewarding in my mind, and something I would find interest in. If I ever like burn out and don't really want to do this whole content living in Boston, like going up to the fells to film, and I want like a true change, I think going out and hiking like the Long Trail in Vermont and making that a content series would be such a nice shift. So
are there any like milestones too, that just like personal goals of yours, like when it comes to hiking, like worldwide, like any, like you want to be up on Everest or anything one day, or
yeah, I don't know if I want to do Everest. I think I'll stick to watching YouTube videos about that one, but I would like to potentially finish the Triple Crown of long distance hiking, which is the Appalachian Trail, Pacific Crest Trail, and Continental Divide. So doing that last one would feel like some nice closure there.
is the Continental Divide through Central America?
It's through, yeah, like the center of the US. So it goes along
Oh,
like the Rockies. It starts up in Glacier National Park in Montana, goes down through Colorado and down into like New Mexico.
oh wow, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So it's actually the longest one. And there are a ton of different alternates. So everyone who hikes it kind of does a different route through different parts of it. So that's been on my list. It would be a big undertaking though.
Yeah, what's different? Like, what makes that one just?
Like the grizzly bears.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
there are. The other ones like don't really go through grizzly country, but like up in Glacier in Montana, and I forget if it goes through Idaho or whatnot, but
grizzly
yeah,
country
yeah.
up there.
I just don't want to carry bear spray, It's a weight thing.
Yeah,
I'm not scared or anything. It's
yeah.
more like
You're
I
gonna have
want
to
my
cut your
pack.
toothbrush like down to like this.
Yeah, I want my pack to be as light as possible, and
How heavy was your pack on when you were doing the Pacific Crest, or like typically?
if I had like a full resupply of food, like say like 5 or 6, at one point I had like 7 days of food going through the Sierra. It was probably like 35 pounds, I'd say. But if I was on like the last day of a section where I had like almost no food going into town, as low as like 24, 25 pounds.
And where do you find food? Like,
Grocery store.
really?
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't sound very wild, but usually you get to like a road crossing. And
Yeah.
occasionally there's like a little general store there or something, but most of the times you just get a hitch, go into a town,
Yeah.
grocery shop, then get back out on the trail. where you left
After a
off.
big hike for you, what's your like go to? Like, there's got to be a meal, like something that you're just craving.
Yeah, anytime I went into town, I would get like a burger and a beer.
Okay.
Like, that was the way. That was what you had to do, because you're out there eating like cold oatmeal and like instant mashed potatoes, and it just makes me sick. And so getting into a town and like even eating like a salad was one of the best things ever.
Wow.
You don't get many veggies out there.
That'll make you appreciate a salad. If you ever want to just change your perspective on salads, go hike,
Yeah.
go hike the Pacific Crest Trail.
It's actually nuts how much weight I lost on the trail too. I started off like my goal was to like gain weight, not on the hike, but like I wanted to gain weight in general. And so the worst decision I made was going out on the hike, because I think I lost like 30 to 40 pounds on the AT, which is a lot. It was an unhealthy lifestyle, and I think it's because I'm also like a semi-picky eater, so I'm very particular about things that I eat. And so a lot of the backpacking foods are like too fancy for me. They have these like freeze-dried stir fries, and like it all sounds fantastic unless you're me and you're like, I want to eat beige foods only. And then that gets pretty tough because my diet or health took a hit for sure.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
Let's shift a little bit to like the creator economy.
yeah.
That's a crazy thing to say after that. But being someone that now for a couple of years now is a full-time content creator and is, this is your job. But fortunately it's around so many things that you would do regardless.
Yeah.
Talk about maybe just like that experience of like what it's been like having, your passions and your hobbies and everything that you would want to do become how you make a living, right?
Yeah, it's changed things a lot, a lot. Like it's made me really have to try hard to remember to enjoy what I'm doing, because a lot of the times I need that to make money, right? That's what I'm doing full time. I'm like fully dove headfirst into it. So there are a lot of days where I'm kind of just going through the motions and I'm like, why am I doing this? Like I'm not necessarily having the same experience I did when I first started making videos, which isn't necessarily like a bad thing. That just comes with the territory of doing something for a living. Like I'm sure professional athletes feel the same way. They're going to play basketball or baseball, and that's just how they make money, and that's how they provide for them and their families. So um, making this a full-time job has been pretty eye-opening, and I think I have to remind myself constantly to have fun with it. And I think brands feel the same way. They want to make content for their brand, but at the end of the day, they know this is social media. Like we want to bring eyeballs to these products and get these products out there, but we want to have fun with it at the same time. So you can see that in a lot of briefs that brands will send you, like make this in your own voice, like do what you would normally do in your content, but incorporate this product into it in a way that feels natural. And so that takes a lot of pressure off when you're making these videos. And I also sprinkle in content that I just want to make. It's not like I'm only doing brand deals, right? So doing like 1 to 2 or 3 brand deals a month, and then all the other time I'm like thinking of ideas that I find funny, and I'm sticking to, this is something I enjoy. And like I like writing the scripts, I like being creative. So I think there's a balance you need to find there, and it takes a little time to find it.
Yeah, and even I feel like when you do brand deals, like you're situated in a way where that integration is fairly seamless into what your content is, where you can make a brand deal entertaining to the point that whether or not they know it's an ad, people are going to probably just watch it because you're still going to make them laugh. It's still going to be, they'll get value on the entertainment side from it while, promoting a product or whatever it is. So that's, I think, obviously you've done a good job, whether it was just, falling into that type of content and also just building that up, over time. But I think that you're situated in a good spot to be naturally integrating with these brands and make it so that it's not like too out of place when like you're scrolling on your feed and you see like, oh, that's obviously a brand deal, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are there any brands that, especially like in the outdoor space, that like you're kind of like, wow, like I get to do something with that? Like they reached out to me, or like Team USA sent you a bunch of stuff for the Olympics. Like any like kind of pinch me moments on like the brand side?
Yeah. I did a lot of work recently with Aspen in Colorado during the X Games. And so I got out and they like hooked it up with like a media pass. And so I was right there at the base of the super pipe, seeing all these athletes come down who in a week's time were going to be in Italy at the Olympics. And I'm making content about like a freestyle skier doing all these ridiculous tricks with names that make no sense. And I'm like, how did I get to this moment right here? That was a really cool moment. And then I've also had an ongoing relationship with Marmot over the past year or two, and they've just given me pretty much complete freedom to make my content and kind of just wear their gear. And so it's been really fun to work with them as well.
I saw GoPro sent you some
Yes.
stuff the other day too. That's probably like a
Yeah.
cool thing. Like,
So I've been slowly building a relationship with GoPro a little bit. The agency I work with has gotten me in touch with them, and I message them through Instagram as well. So we've been chatting about making some content happen, and they sent a camera the other day, so I'm starting to learn how to
maybe
use
they'll
that.
figure out the hiking solution, and some kind of drone that can follow you,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
or
make a
whatever.
full documentary. Yeah, the GoPro thing was really, really cool. So I had a GoPro when I was younger. It was like the GoPro 3. And
Oh yeah.
I didn't realize the cameras now are actually fully waterproof, whereas the one
You
I used to
used to
have was
need
the casing.
the housing, the case.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. And so getting it, I'm like, I could just put this in water and it'd be fine. It's crazy.
Insane. Yeah,
Makes
the
it so much
GoPro
easier.
evolution is wild.
Yeah.
I feel like also I had that GoPro 3.
Hmm.
I would just put it on my ski helmet.
Yeah.
What are you even filming?
I don't know. And every time I watch the footage back, it looks like I'm crawling. Like
Oh
I think
yeah.
I'm going so fast on
I
the
just
mountain.
remember showing it to like my grandma one time. And like I'm like, "Grandma, look." And she's like, "I have vertigo watching this. I can't even
Yeah.
watch it."
If you ever want to feel terrible about yourself, film a GoPro footage of you like doing any activity that you think is intense. And trust me, it's not. It's not
Seriously.
intense.
You mentioned having great experiences with brands, and obviously your content is just positioned, like I said, in a great way to collaborate. Do you think that in general, though, brands are starting to understand and kind of just accept the fact that they have to give the control and the creative control and let the creators just, like you said, Marmot is like really easy to work with because you just put the ball in your court and say, we trust you, go do your thing. Would you say that like brands are trending in that direction like nowadays?
Absolutely, yeah. And I was listening to the last episode of this podcast where you and Maria were talking about that, and like totally agree. Like if you give the creator control to do what they do, like that's the point. That's the reason they reached out to you in the first place, right? Is they enjoy your content, they think it would resonate with their audience. So why change that whole structure of your video and make it something different when you know what you bought into is actually going to work? So I think brands are starting to see that. They're going to be like, he makes content about the outdoors in a way that's funny and engaging. Let's let him do his thing, but maybe put a jacket on him that has our brand name on it, and that's just going to get more eyes, rather than like extremely tailored, micromanaged ad that feels salesy.
Yeah,
That's
for sure.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily work as well.
Yeah, and on the brand side, like if there's maybe like let's say a founder watching this or listening to this that's maybe looking to start partnering with influencers or working with content creators, like is there anything you would say that as a creator yourself, like for someone, just advice or putting that out there for them as they continue their journey to build and have collaborations that are mutually beneficial on both sides?
I'd say to digest some of their content. If there's somebody you think could be a good fit for your brand, watch some of their content. Like, how do they do things? What are some ways that it could be beneficial to yours? And come to them with a pitch of how you think it could work really well, and incorporate some of the techniques they use in their content. So kind of working with them and making it like a true collaboration in a way that feels true to their actual style, rather than giving them a script and saying, do this. So I think just kind of, yeah, taking in some of their content and taking notes on it, and come to them with like a real strategy that stays true to their values as a creator.
Yeah, not just like some random person like, here, make this video. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, there's gonna be people who are much better fits for your brand than others. And so finding those people and making sure you're aligned before pursuing any content with them.
and there's so many creators out there that
Yeah.
it's like if one person isn't a fit, then it's fine. Like it's not, you don't have to force it, right?
Yeah.
Like and that's only gonna, degrade the quality of, on both sides what the partnership or collaboration looks like. So
Yeah. From the brand or agency side, it would probably be so difficult to narrow down creators to work with. Like I know there are platforms that you can use to filter creators and their niches, but I can't even imagine like going out there and trying to tailor that search to somebody who would fit it perfectly. It's probably very difficult. So putting myself in their shoes, it's not easy to find a perfect fit.
Yeah, and do you work with an agent or, like, manager right now?
Yes. So I work with an agency. It's called Underscore. And they've
Nice.
been amazing. They've
Mm,
really helped me like negotiate great deals and find brands that fit well. So it's helped out immensely. Like I think I signed with them 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, and it's been pretty great.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Amazing, Matt. Well, I don't know if there's anything you wanna add, anything else that's, like, on your mind right now? I know UConn basketball has been doing
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Um,
We were at the game in Hartford 2 nights ago, and it was like the most electric atmosphere ever.
hopefully they get it going into March. That
Hmm.
would be, you've been to the Final Four for them,
Yeah,
right?
if they make the Final Four, I'm going. Like,
Yeah.
that's just I've told myself that every year, and 23 and 24, they made it, and so I went to Houston and Phoenix.
Wow.
And it was, like, some of the best times of my life.
Where is it this year?
It's in Indianapolis. It's at I think Lucas Oil Stadium.
Yeah. Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah,
That's
they always do it at, like, the football
yeah,
stadium.
which is, like, I don't know, what is that like from the, like, viewer experience?
I mean, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, if you're way up in the upper bowls, just bring your binoculars.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
it's really cool the weekend of like being in that
Mhm.
city. Like not even necessarily the games themselves, but like I remember going down. I had some buddies and we got an Airbnb in Phoenix and went out to like Scottsdale and just like the hype around the games in the city is crazy.
Yeah, and all the brands are doing their
Yes.
events and parties and
Yeah.
fun stuff, so
That's the goal of mine is to maybe do some like brand collaborations through the Final Four if that comes to it.
that'd be sweet.
So that's been
Yeah.
on my radar.
Amazing, Matt. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
course.
Where can people find you?
On Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, at Matt's Lion. At Matt Lyons wasn't available, so I had to go
Matt's Lion.
But
I
yeah.
There's so many stories, like, where creators, like, pick a random username or, like, a username that's, like, kind of their name, but, like, a
Yeah.
little bit off,
Yeah.
and then, like, now million followers later, you're, like, still at that, and some random dude just got, like, Matt Lyons.
Yeah, it's some dude who hasn't posted since 2016.
Seriously.
You know?
Seriously.
But my old username used to be Little Lion Man. It's like the Mumford and Sons song. So I'm like, I should probably change this going into
That's
content
funny.
creation.
That's awesome. Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is another episode of the Creators Founders Podcast. And I think that we might have a newsletter out on you either this week that the podcast drops or coming to you in a couple of weeks. So, yeah.
Sweet. Thanks, guys.
Amazing.